V dnešním dílu pořadu Svět okem Raptora se podíváme, jak průkopník reformy venkova, vesnice Xiaogang, kráčí vstříc modernizaci. Průmyslový klastr v Pingdu se ujímá mechanizace a digitalizace, aby vytvořil výrobky přizpůsobené požadavkům milovníkům krásy po celém světě. Uvnitř Číny, mimo ní a v budoucnosti, co by měl čínský soukromý sektor dělat? Venkovské reformy v Číně byly odstartovány v roce 1978, kdy se 18 zemědělců z vesnice Xiaogang ve východočínské provincii Anhui mezi sebou dohodlo na přidělení společné zemědělské půdy domácnostem. Vesnice se tak stala místem, kde se zrodila čínská reforma venkova. O více než 3 desetiletí později byla vesnice Xiaogang průkopníkem dalšího kola reformy, která oddělila smluvní práva od práv na hospodaření a zahájila tak novou éru modernizace zemědělství.
81-year-old Yan Jinchang from Xiaogang village in Fengyang County is busy running his farm-based tourism business. He was among the 18 farmers who signed that pact in December 1978.
We signed the contract with our thumbs, and then the farmland owned by the village collective was allocated to individual households. Why did we decide to sign a contract? It's simple, to have enough to eat.
In the same year, a young student from Tsinghua University arrived in Anhui province for field research.
I came to Anhui in 1978. I didn't go to Xiaogang village, but I went to Chuzhou. During that time, I took a book of notes, which I still preserve. I'm deeply impressed by this experience, because this is the first lesson I learned on rural reforms since the reform and opening up.
Xi Jinping's experience in Anhui remained fresh in his memory more than 30 years later, when he became president of China. Today, China remains a large country with numerous small landholding farmers. There is an urgent need to synergize agricultural modernization with industrialization, information technology application, and urbanization. In 2016, on a visit to Xiaogang village, President Xi said reform is the only way out. It should be always ongoing and updated.
President Xi had a chat with us in the field. He asked us some quite detailed questions. I was wondering how he knew so much about agriculture.
Who will farm the land? It's a realistic problem faced by reformers.
Young people have gone to the cities for a living. Then who will farm the land? Land is the lifeblood of farmers. To be honest, we feel distressed when the land is wasted.
The lack of farmers is not an unfounded concern. At the Central Rural Work Conference in 2013, President Xi Jinping pointed out that separating the contract rights and management rights of land is a new trend of China's changing agricultural production relations. It required us to improve the basic system for rural operations.
We were afraid that we would not be able to get our land back after it had been transferred and end up losing the land. Farmers were concerned about this at that time.
Spending years in field research, Xi Jinping has always had an affinity for agriculture, rural areas, and farmers. He once said, no matter how we reform, we cannot break down the collective ownership system of rural land. We cannot cause reduction of arable land, and we cannot jeopardize the grain yield and farmers' interests. Since the 18th CPC National Congress in 2012, Xi Jinping has inspected reforms in rural areas for many times. It was during his visit to Xiaogang village in 2016 that President Xi hosted a symposium on rural reform. He explained the reform on rural land rights to the 18 Xiaogang farmers and the villagers. He said we should respect farmers' thoughts to retain the contract rights of land and transfer the management rights, and further separate contracted management rights into contract rights and land management rights. He said this is another major institutional innovation in rural reform. 4 months later, an opinion plan on the separation of 3 rights was adopted at a meeting of the Central Leading Group for Deepening Reform. Since then, the reform has been rolled out nationwide. On October 18, 2017, Xi Jinping delivered a report at the 19th National Congress of the Communist Party of China. He said China would consolidate and improve the basic rural operation system, advance reform of the rural land system, and improve the system for separating the ownership rights, contract rights, and the management rights for contracted rural land. Rural land contracting practices would remain stable and unchanged on the long-term basis. He announced that the current round of contracts would be extended for another 30 years upon expiration.
It's a big relief for farmers. When we transfer land, we'll be issued a land right certificate, which gives farmers a guarantee. The location and size of farmers' land are clearly recorded on the certificate. In this way, farmers have nothing to worry about.
The reforms led by the separation of 3 rights have solved several problems related to agriculture, rural areas, and farmers, paving China's pursuit of agricultural modernization.
Through such reforms, we cultivate farmers who are willing and able to farm into new type agricultural business entities to farm more and better land, and those who have other ways of making money can free themselves from the land.
Small fields become large fields, and fragmented fields were reconstituted as whole fields. After large-scale land transfer, Xiaogang village began high-quality development of modern agriculture. In 2017, the Beida Huang 7 Stars Farm signed a cooperation agreement with Xiaogang village. The farm sent its best water conservancy personnel and agricultural technicians to Xiaogang village, where they transferred 500 acres of land and established a modern agricultural demonstration area.
After the reform, farmers are more willing to transfer their land to us. President Xi said science and technology can help revitalize agriculture. I feel like it is President Xi's instruction to us. We are more energized about agricultural cultivation, especially the promotion of advanced agricultural cultivation models. I feel there is even a mission for me to do this.
To date, Xiaogang village has transferred more than 70% of its land and has cultivated 31 new type business entities, such as professional grain growers, family farms, and farmers' cooperatives.
We could not have dreamed that this year we would have all these agricultural machineries, such as drones and automobiles. Next, we will try to realize mechanized, modernized, and intelligent farming in whole process of production. Just like President Xi said, we will grow more good grains and ensure that everyone can eat safe food.
Yan Jinchang, who has transferred all of his land, is now running his farm-based tourism business. He's witnessed 2 historic reforms in China's rural land system. Xiaogang village, the testbed of China's rural reform, is ushering in a new era of modernization.
Falešné řasy mohou výrazně změnit váš vzhled a jejich obliba mezi milovníky krásy v Číně roste. Přibližně 70% světové produkce umělých řas se vyrábí v Pingdu ve východočínské provincii Shantung. S pomocí přeshraničního elektronického obchodu vytvářejí továrny v tomto malém kraji výrobky přizpůsobené požadavkům světových zákazníků. V tomto díle pořadu Biz Focus navštívila naše reportérka Xiaogang tento průmyslový klastr vyrábějící umělé řasy, aby zjistila, jak se jim to daří. Pojďme se na něj podívat blíže.
Wearing beauty eyelashes as a Spring Festival beauty routine got trendy for this Chinese New Year. Around 70% of the beauty eyelashes in the global market are actually from a small county called Pingdu in eastern China's Shandong province. Being a beauty eyelash user and a business journalist, I wondered why the eyelash businesses are so successful in this small county. Before the Spring Festival, I came to Pingdu to find out for myself. This gentleman, Wang Xuelei, is my guide for this industry. He is the second generation to run his family's eyelash business. Before taking over his family's eyelash factory 3 years ago, he served as a senior IT engineer for Haier, a renowned supplier of smart home devices in China.
从 IT 转型到睫毛，对我来说是一个比较大的挑战。21年年初，我爱人给我讲，我们要转型，公司要转型，从贸易转成生产，那么需要我来回到工厂。
Wang's wife, Chu Peipei, is responsible for their overseas market sales.
30% of our sales come from US, 10% from UK, 10% from Europe, and 5% from Mexico, 5% from Australia, remaining 40% from other countries like Middle East countries and Asian countries.
Such diversified markets add much complexity to their management. Mr. Wang made full use of his expertise to build an online management system for the factory's whole production chain, also the first of its kind in the domestic eyelash industry.
这个系统是我把在哈尔学习到了一些 IT 的知识信息化的知识利用21年19年对睫毛我们睫毛工厂整个业务流程的一个熟悉把我们公司目前的采购销售包括订单生产订单还有这个财务全部集成到这个系统里边。
以前这算是比较大的单子
，420，这还有一个小单，一个，
这个很小，一个最小的单子了，
这还有
40个的。
Streamlined process translated into productivity and unlocked innovation. Chu Congyi is Mr. Wang's uncle-in-law, also the founder of the factory Colash, and one of the first businessmen in the Pingdu eyelash industry. In earlier years, it was easy to make money by selling their eyelashes, and they didn't even need to update their products to meet market demands.
那干了多吗？我干了6年，我没换过，不停地研发新东西，要不然就会被淘汰。
Now, they have over 100 different styles of eyelashes. While most of them look the same to me, Mr. Wang can easily tell them apart.
这只是我们众多睫毛款式的冰山一角是目前热销的懒人3部曲。看这个是龙舌兰，
龙舌兰，小恶魔，哇，这名字都好生动啊！我来考考您，看看对自己家产品的这个熟悉度啊。
没问题。
画一下 KLS 16。
16这个浓郁度大一些。它是有交叉的。
完全正确。
是吧？
难不倒您啊。
To better understand consumer behaviors, Mr. Wang turned to feedback and posts on social media platforms.
大概21年，我们发现，在小红书美妆博主教着这个 C 端的用户，开始用那个眉笔，是吧？眉笔画下睫毛。
是。
这样对我们这个睫毛来说是有市场份额缺失的、丢失的啊。所以说我们创新型的把这个改小，做成了这个下睫毛。
Mr. Wang told me that 2024 will mark a new chapter for their factory, as it has introduced some automatic machines.
我们一会儿看一下我们新到的5台新宝贝。
好，那我们现在打开 ，3, 2, 1。这个是干什么用的，王总？
这是我们新到的全自动上卡机。
所有这些都是吗？
对，都是。
And their factory will also have a new home in the local industrial park for eyelashes.
我们这个产业园区，我们当时规划的话，要打造睫毛产销一体化的综合服务平台，为全球乃至全国乃至全球的这个睫毛的生产商，定制采购这样提供一站式服务。整个产业园区建好以后，我们可以入驻电商、生产、贸易企业的话，大概是在700多家企业有，年产值的话达30个亿。
我们是尽快落地我们的无尘车间啊。然后把我们自动化的产线尽快的在工厂里去布局落地。
我们现在正在申请准备呢，就是我们有个海关的外贸的这个自储仓啊，就是直接通过我们品都那里的话，直接就通关，到了青岛那边就不用2次申关了。
The industrial park is set to commence operations officially this June. It is set to represent a stride towards enhancing the eyelash industrial chain through mechanization, informatization, and digitalization. It also means faster delivery of more personalized eyelash designs from China to the world. For me, I have found the most suitable eyelash style for me through the journey, the lazy people combo.
Uvnitř Číny, mimo ní a v budoucnosti, co by měl čínský soukromý sektor dělat?
Alibaba, Tencent, ByteDance. There was a time when China was regarded as the low-cost manufacturer for the world. Not anymore. Today, many Chinese private enterprises have become global leaders in their fields, exporting their innovative products and dominating global markets. They are attracting massive attention from people who like them, but also those who see them as threats. Those are the ones that we talk about a lot. But for most of the private sector, they are not as famous, not as resourceful, and have been paid much less attention. 90% of the Chinese private sector are small and medium-sized enterprises. Few of them have billions to invest in R&D. They have little chance of attracting heavyweight investments, and some of them simply try to keep afloat. As China transitions into an innovation-led growth model, what's their future look like? Can they keep up with the rapid changes both inside China and outside? We've talked to Christoph Locke, the former director of the Cambridge Judge Business School at the University of Cambridge. He told us that innovation is crucial, but perhaps not in ways that the public usually perceives.
High-tech is looked at as the magic wand in order to solve all economical problems. Now, high-tech is important, and all the advanced nations need to have enough competence in the leading technologies for the future, like AI, like quantum computing, like nanotechnology, and a few more, special materials, software. But to believe that if you move into those technologies, that's going to magically create all the solutions, I think that's where the limitation is. So I would say two things to this. The first one is innovation in this discussion is viewed just too narrowly. Innovation is something which really helps the economy if it becomes pervasive. A few very big companies, they do fundamental research and they develop fundamentally new technologies. But every country has only a very small number of those, including the US. But innovation in all the other companies consists in picking up technologies which are getting to the point where they have been proven and are usable, incorporating them into the way they operate, using them in order to improve their processes, in order to develop new products, in order to develop new ways of working with their customers. And that's where the huge lever lies.
According to the World Bank, firms are the prime actor for adopting more sophisticated technologies to be applied in the production of goods and provision of services. Workers can have access to higher productivity jobs, and countries can achieve higher prosperity through the adoption of more sophisticated technologies by firms.
Innovation is something which happens in all medium-sized companies in China and in any other advanced economy in the world. They don't develop fundamentally new technologies. They buy technologies in the form of artifacts, in the form of software, in the form of process knowledge that they can get from the outside. They use it in order to advance their products and improve their productivity. And that's where that's the game for an advanced economy. That's where almost all the action is. So, for example, total quality management, improvement innovations, which are small, everyday improvements in the way we are conducting our processes. If they give you, between 10 and 15% of productivity improvement every year, which is realistic, which I have seen, in many companies, that means that you are halving your cost structure per unit every 7 years. That's huge. That's where jobs come from.
According to China's Small and Medium Enterprises Development Index, SMEs in China recorded an increase in their activities in 2023, rising from 88.4 in 2022 to 89.2. The increase was attributed to booming consumption, fixed assets investment, and high-tech industry development. But with the global economic downturn, companies everywhere are facing pressure. The World Bank projects that the global economy is set to see a sorry record by the end of 2024 with a 2.4% growth projection. It will be the slowest half-decade of GDP growth in 30 years. What should the SMEs do in the face of these pressures?
They need to be frugal and customer-oriented, and do a little bit better every day. So that's one thing they need to do. And some of that you can do with very little investment, but for some of this you do need investment. So the fact that capital for investment is simply not easily available for smaller companies is a really, really big impediment that the government needs to acknowledge. Then the second thing that these companies need to do, they need to be entrepreneurial and they need to look for additional market opportunities. And some of that they can do in the home market. One of the advantages of Chinese companies is you do have a huge home market, like the companies in the US, different from companies in virtually every other place. Okay, and some of them who have critical size, they have the energy and the knowledge to actually want to go abroad.
But going abroad isn't as easy as it was before. There are a number of military conflicts that are ongoing. Protectionism is rising among many major economies. Decoupling or de-risking are clear signals that many companies will have hard or harder times conducting transnational trade. Are there enough opportunities for companies to expand internationally?
Now, it is, Chinese companies are still exporting into the US. So in spite of the trade war, it doesn't destroy all the opportunities, but it makes everything harder and less predictable because it can happen very quickly that, somebody on the other side notices you and lashes out, and then, sanctions are being taken. On the other hand, the fact that we have this polarization at the global level also has opportunities, because there are some places in the world who say, we don't want to look toward the West anymore. We'd rather look to the East, and who are actually receiving companies from China or East Asia more generally with open arms. So global opportunities are not only in the West, they're also in other parts of the world where actually at the moment doors are opening. And Chinese companies are noticing this.
Indeed, they are. In the first 2 months of 2024, the trade value of private enterprises took up 54.6% of China's total imports and exports of goods. It went up 4.2 percentage points from the same period in 2023. China's trade with its largest trading partner, ASEAN, rose 8.1% year-on-year, accounting for 15% of China's total trade value.
The richest economies still tend to be in the, what people normally call the West. But A, that's changing, and B, there is a lot more people in the not so rich economies, right? So, India, Southeast Asia, South America, Africa. The opportunities are huge. There is a lot of people. They don't have as much money, but the growth opportunities there are higher. You need to conduct your business there in a different way. You need to acknowledge and adapt to the market conditions, but that is always true. There are other dysfunctionalities in markets in Europe or in the United States, which are of a different kind. In every market, you need to adapt to the local conditions. I'm seeing companies which are really impressively looking for the upside in the currently difficult situation. But not all of them will be successful. That is the nature of such a challenge.
Děkujeme, že jste sledovali náš pořad. Nashledanou u dalšího dílu pořadu Svět okem.